So now that your dog is coming back to the mat, he knows the cue, and you continue to work on that, we can start adding some duration to the staying on the mat. So stay, not moving from a position, involves 3 criteria. First is duration, the second is distraction, and the third is distance. Today, I'm going to show you just adding duration. So I typically add duration in 2-second intervals. I kind of set my own criteria for 2 seconds. And then I mark and reinforce. And as always, I'm dropping the food usually between Louis' legs or in the curve of his belly area. So I want to keep it nice and easy, no distractions. We are now adding a new element to this position. Two-second intervals. So what's occurring now is, whereas before you marked the moment he hit the ground, now we're counting 2 and letting him know it's the staying in that position that is actually getting the reinforcement, the reward. And this morning we've got hot dogs. So practice this, I would probably say 10 repetitions for 3 sessions. And we want a solid. Before you move up in time, in duration, you want a solid stay, which means the dog doesn't hesitate to get up. He stays easily in this position. Okay, so now that your dog is doing 2 seconds, you've done 30 reps over 3 sessions, we're going to add another 2 seconds. So now we're going to go for 4 seconds. I think this is pretty straightforward, and I'd like you to work up to at least 10 seconds of duration before you start adding distractions. And I also want you at this point not to be making eye contact with your dog, because in the future, when we ask our dogs to stay, we don't back up from them, we don't hold eye contact with them, we actually tend to turn our back and walk away from them, which will come with the distractions. But right now, I'd like you to mark feet, look up, look away. We don't want our dog to learn to hold eye contact, to keep them in this position. Louis out. Go to your mat. He tends to go to his left hip. Some dogs are left, some are right. Some have a preference. So now I'm going to add a little extra to this. I'm going to toss food off, have him come in, cue him to come in. He's going to lay down, and I'm going to add the 4 seconds. Go to your mat. So Louis thought, because I didn't mark right away, and this is our transition and this is what can happen, he didn't realize that I was going to mark after 4 seconds. He waited, and because I didn't mark, he decided to try another behavior, which is to lay on his side, and that's part of his husbandry training. So that tells me he wants to try something, but I'm also showing him that's not what we're doing. Don't be surprised if your dog starts to offer you other behaviors that are familiar to them. If they do, just go a little bit slower in your criteria. There we go. He kind of tossed his head. He's trying to figure out, what are we doing? So that little change in the element of getting him off and coming back, that was a real shift for him. I'm using a clicker this morning. Go, Matt. So now he's a little more comfortable holding that position and not offering a side position. Because it's duration we're working on, buddy. So I'm going to add another couple of seconds for training purposes. 6. So I'm adding 2 seconds. Okay, did you see the little bit of conflict there? I'm going to let him have that. Okay, go to your mat. Now, part of the issue there may have been the eye contact that I had with him. I made a mistake of holding that with him, so there's a little bit of pressure. There's social pressure sometimes when we hold eye contact with our dogs. Go to your mat. So I'll be noting that next time. I'm not going to hold eye contact with him. And I have a relaxed body, right? We want to be on one hip or the other. We're just relaxed, taking deep breaths so the dog can also relax with us. So this is where you're going to start, 2-second intervals, working your way up to 4 to 6. Training tips. Add duration in 2-second intervals. Continue to train in a quiet environment. Keep your body relaxed and avoid strong eye contact. Criteria to meet to advance the training. Your dog is able to stay in the set duration comfortably over 10 repetitions per training session. When your dog has achieved that, you can add more time to the stay position.